Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. Coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. It is Thursday morning. I got here late last night. I have a 2-day conference. I will be available via text and sometimes email, but in and out throughout the day. So if you need me, please call the office. The team is working hard and they're doing amazing things as always. So just reach out to the team if you need us or text me. But just want to let you know that in the spirit of Halloween and in the spirit of not being biased, this video starts off with really good news, and then it gets real spooky, air quotes, because there's just some ominous things about the housing market that I saw, and I just thought I'd share them to scare you for Halloween. So here we go, guys. All right, so in terms of rates, because it's so early on Thursday morning, I don't have my normal FreddieMac.com pulled up for you guys, but I'll tell you it should be lower this week. As you guys can see, the last handful of days have actually been some good days. We don't get to see that very often. The reason being is just, again, oversold so hard, so much that these resistance levels held. The UK is getting their act together, the new prime minister, so that's always a good thing, and that's going to hopefully stabilize the market, make them feel warm and fuzzy. As far as inflation, guys, this is the same chart. You've seen it. We've been showing it for the better part of about 8 or 9 months, but this is inflation, the CPI, which is what the Fed's using to gauge their inflation measures. This is their index for the last, I don't know, whatever that equates to be, 14, 15 months. And as you saw, remember, guys, see the yellow over there on the left, the July, August, September, we told you rates or inflation would stay hot because when you replace a 0.3 in July and add a 0.7 or whatever it was in August, right, or 0.6 in August, a 0.2 in August, 0.6, September is 0.3, this September 0.6. Those are obviously going to be making inflation go higher, month over month. But now look, guys, we're about to get a report in about 2 weeks. And you see that October, because that's, remember, November's report is going to show October's inflation. Look at October. Last year was 0.6. Even if we just hold steady, you see this August and September, we were 0.6. So it could be that inflation goes flat in this event. So we do think for the coming months, we're going to see inflation, truly stay flat, and probably, I think, inflation is going to get better in the near future because at some point these Fed hikes are going to take place. They're not instantaneous. When the Fed raises rates, there is a delay. It could take 6 to 12 months for that to cycle through the economy and be felt. So they've obviously done a lot of rate hikes. We're going to do one next week, 0.75, probably another one, hopefully another 0.75 in December. The reality is, I think there's a split on there whether people think they'll do 0.5 or 0.75, but either way, guys, inflation should be peaking. And why is that a good thing? Why do I think that? Oh, my slide I just passed. Healthcare. You'll see that the one I just passed with the Wall Street Journal article, it was showing that healthcare was a 0.4 addition to inflation. It's a 10-month lag. So take away COVID from, think about a year ago, give or take, COVID was just ending. All those expenses are now coming through and getting reported lower to where they think it's going to reduce 0.4. So it's a pretty big swing. So that should be coming. Shelter cost. So this is a cute little image that, again, the real cost, the roller coaster, the front of it going down on the right, the costs are starting to go down for shelter. However, the CPI is just such a lagging indicator in terms of all the data we get that it may show that it's still increasing for the next month or two. And we think January is going to be the big month where we start to see shelter costs lag. And why is that a big deal? Shelter costs are a third of the inflation measures. So here, you guys can see this. This is a fun little chart. You might want to pause it. At least I did. When I found this, I looked at it. You can see how shelter is still increasing. But for the most part, you see inflation is probably flat or decreasing. I thought it was interesting. If you look at food away from home, like restaurants, it's still increasing. July, August, September, it's still increasing. And I think that's employment, guys, and some transportation. So if you look at the transportation, it too is still increasing. Again, I think a lot of that's just because those two industries have had shortages of manpower. So if people start losing jobs, then hopefully people will start finding jobs in those industries that can help bring down that inflation. And also, when there's more labor to hire, you don't have to pay as much. So I think those are the two big ones that are kind of showing up. But everything else, look at new cars. You can look at, electricity, gas. Look at gas, guys, 44%, 25%, 18%, massive declines in the last 90 days. So again, you can see that for the most part, inflation's holding steady or declining in most areas. So as far as the housing, the shelter, if you guys look, We know that prices are coming down from a nationwide standpoint. Again, Dallas-Fort Worth is super protected, guys. I've read tons of articles, and Dallas-Fort Worth hasn't even been mentioned in terms of like the biggest drops. And if you take away like the 5 biggest cities that are dropping, like Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, I forget the other 2, but like the sand states, it's a relatively flat number compared to like these quote massive drops. So just realize these are national numbers. So the owner's equivalent rent, this is 25%. I know we said it's 1/3, but this is 25%, which is a big number. And what is owner's equivalent rent? It's what a homeowner says they will charge for rent. Now, again, they're not actually renting their home, but that's why it's kind of messed up. But when prices go up, people think, yeah, I'm going to rent my home for a ton. As soon as prices, the market or the economy or recession gets, starts hitting harder, then all of a sudden you're going to realize that people probably won't rent their homes for as much. So this should hopefully be coming down in the near future. As far as shelter, this is the same graph that shows that in this case, shelter cost, which takes in more than just the housing part, it's 40% of the CPI. And again, you can see these numbers increasing year over year over year. But again, go back and just kind of look that eventually, once these numbers, September was hot, October is probably going to come in hot. So we do think these numbers are going to stay hot for the coming months until January. Remember that roller coaster? We think around January, we're going to start seeing things come back. We're look at February, March, and April. You get things where things cool off a little bit and they should stay relatively flat. So that'll be a huge component coming down. Shipping cost, they're down for about 70% from the peak. Again, this is just the supply chains and things opening up. Used car prices, as we saw, they're coming down. So going back to the same chart, guys, again, we think inflation's coming down. This is all good news. Why? Because that from a mortgage standpoint, that makes rates go down. So we do think you're going to see rates start to flatten. I think they're going to peak in the next 30 to 60 days. And by the turn of the new year, you're going to see rates probably either flatten and start coming back down a touch. I think we'll probably see rates make meaningful declines in Q2, Q3. I think you'll see rates in the 5s for sure. And I think potentially even the 4s. I've been saying that for a long time. You may see rates back in the 4s. Maybe it's the high 4s, but by the end of the year next year. So all that's good news. Here's some not so good news. Money supply, how much money people got in their pockets and just people, companies to spend, all that fun stuff. But you can see what the stimulus does, right? They just created all this money supply, but they think it's going to start declining. And this Lacey Hunt, he's a good dude. He's a smart guy. We've watched him for a number of years. He thinks they'll get to more neutral levels in March. So when money runs out or things get more, get more tight, people don't spend as much. That also helps inflation. So here comes the scary part, guys. In spirit of Halloween, this is a very freaky graph. This is you can read, I know, but this is the United States in black. This is current levels in May of 2022 of this year. Then you got kind of the bubble run up, if you will, for United States back in 1995 through 2011, right? And then you got the Japan, just showing another housing market. But check this out. This is appreciation from, again, United States from 2012 to current. So that 10-year period, we ran up 140%, which when you compare that to years past is just really something. So that's good for homeowners. It's just amazing. It's just not so good for affordability. Builders, love you guys. I know I've been talking to a lot of you and it shows, right? The confidence is way down and just the traffic is way down. So that's okay. But what does that mean for you consumers watching this? For those that aren't locked or on the fence about buying a home or out there shopping, here's what that tells you guys. It is a fabulous, wonderful, amazing opportunity to buy a house right now, especially new construction. Why is that? Because nobody's building right now because their confidence is way down, which means call it 7 to 12 months from now, the supply is going to be an issue again. Right now, they got a lot of homes that are being completed. They want to sell them. So buyers, yes, rates aren't great, but guess what? You can refinance when they come down. But now buyers have inventory to purchase. They want to get rid of it. They're motivated. Get in there. I'm not saying they're going to cut their prices by a ton, but they're certainly willing to at least have a conversation. New home sales, you guys can see this too. It just shows, when recessions happen, or not recessions, but the run up on the top one, you can see just that peak from the mortgage bubble back in the day. Again, we're not in that same bubble, but you can see the pandemic run up to now. Now, here's the deal, guys. You can say, oh, it's going to crash like last time. Again, this was the financial instability from the 2008 mortgage meltdown is different than today, where it's just rates just went so high on purpose. The Fed's doing that. to make it to where things are slowing down, and that's okay. But remember, if you just look historically, we're back at those levels that we've been at for the last, call it 4 decades, 5 decades almost. So 4 decades of, kind of where's the high, where's the low? We're about at those levels now. Same thing for home inventory. There, yes, there's a run up, but guess what? I don't know a builder that's starting new projects right now, guys. This is gonna be a thing where this glut goes away real quick. So that's my slideshow, guys. Again, it's scary when you look at the numbers and think, oh God, the mortgage meltdown. But I just think, again, affordability is going to be helped out. One, because the market is cooling nationwide, but Dallas-Fort Worth is still the best place to buy. I mean, at the end of the day, we talk to people every single day that are coming to Texas, right? Whether it be from California or Washington or all these expensive places. But Texas, Dallas specifically, is so diverse in its economy, and just we got all the land that we can keep building on. It keeps houses relatively affordable compared to the nation. So again, it is a great time to buy. Don't get freaked out. We're going to see lower rates. And again, I hope you guys have a great Halloween, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.